Ferrari, one of the most recognizable brands in anything, and especially in the car world. When Enzo Ferrari launched his company, he really only cared about making race cars. Enzo would be proud to know that cars like this 458 are at the very pinnacle of driving pleasure. Now, with Tim's Enthusiast Garage, I try to focus on cars in my own collection, and cars that are becoming collectible, cars that are between $5,000 and $100,000, that are on the cusp of going way up in value. Now, the Ferrari 488 has come on the scene, and that makes the 458 the outgoing model, and so these have started to depreciate. Now, even the most rubbish 458 isn't $100 grand, but it's definitely a car we can aspire to own one day. Now, while I always liked the 348, the F355, the 360, the 430 kind of lost me. This car is beauty in every detail. The diffuser tray is a thing of beauty. Even that characteristic Ferrari flat floor, so sexy. The wishbones are sexy. There's carbon fiber and aluminum everywhere, as beautiful underneath as it is on top. You know, with the F430 Scuderia, it was definitely a weapon, but it just wasn't a beautiful weapon to my eye. This car, finished in lush Marabou blue metallic, will bring you to your knees. You know, I chose this car because my friend Bill had upgraded it in every way, very tastefully. It has the Speciale stripes, it has a beautiful little winglet on the back. You almost don't even notice it, it's almost imperceptible. It's really what it's about when you're modifying a car like this, is not going over the top. You know, doing things that accentuate the car, because the car's already beautiful. You know, the way Ferrari manages the airflow around and through this car, you know, that's something that's beautiful to behold in and of itself. And, you know, when you spend time with a 458, you really need to take that all in. There's so many sculptural inlets where air is forced in to bring more downforce or to cool the car. And it's, you know, appreciating that in all its glory that really makes you fall in love with this car. And I mean fall in love. You know, ever since I first fell in love with my Lotus Esprit Turbo, I've had this sort of ethos that if a car is truly great, you don't even need to drive it to love it. And the 458 Spider is that personified. You can just sit and look at this car for hours. You know, and when it comes to the actual driving experience, it's almost beyond what you could comprehend as someone who came of age in the late 80s and early 90s. The performance is so staggering. The brakes literally pull your eyeballs out of your head. 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. 100 miles per hour in 6.2 seconds. 6.2 seconds to 100, and this isn't even one of the fastest cars on the planet right now. We are in such a golden age of high performance cars, and the 458 represents everything that's great about a car. 7-speed dual clutch transmission, beautifully sculpted seats, beautifully sculpted body. Did I mention a quarter mile of 130 miles per hour in 11 seconds? Now, Ferrari kind of changed the game with the interior of the 458. They completely got rid of column stocks and put everything on the steering wheel. Now, at first I thought this would be daunting, but honestly, it adds to what is such a driver-focused driving experience. From the turn signals to adjusting the dampers to even the Manettino to manage the traction control systems, everything's at your fingertips. The cabin is a real treat in that everything you touch is leather lined, and it is just a wonderful place to do some driving. Now, I kind of go back and forth between coupe and spider on the 458. You know, I love the top-down driving experience and how close it gets you to the intake roar and the exhaust pops and snaps. But the coupe has that glass that allows you to see the engine, and, you know, after driving this car back-to-back with another coupe, I think the spider is really where it's at, and I know that this is the case for me because I kept thinking, how can I get that Marabou blue spider in my life? I don't have an answer for that question yet, but let me tell you, I'm working on it. Now, the boundary between supercar and hypercar has kind of been blurred in that the 458 really is at the upper echelon of what I consider to be a usable, fun car. You know, cars like the Pagani Huayra or the Bugatti Veyron or any of the Koenigseggs are so fast that you're through the gears quicker than you can even enjoy, for example, in this car, the 9,000 RPM scream. And you want to enjoy that scream. Starting with the 360, Ferrari went to a more function over form. Now, in the 80s, cars like the 308 and 328 were very much form over function. Beautiful, but not always so functional. With the 458, they really returned to beauty and function. When the 458 was introduced, it was a real sea change from the F430. The level of performance was so much higher, it was almost unfathomable. Now, not only did Ferrari take the performance of the car seriously, they took the performance of the roof seriously. This thing goes up and down in like 14 seconds, which is pretty impressive given the ballet of panels that's happening. Now, I love the heritage of Audi, Mercedes, and all the different manufacturers have a real charm to them, but there's something about that Ferrari shield, just something about it. One of the only framed pictures I had in my room as a boy was Enzo Ferrari. He was a bit of an idol to me, and spending the day in a car like this changes your outlook on life. Now, to afford a car like this, I'd have to sell every car in my collection. Okay, maybe not every car in my collection, but still, I'd have to thin the herd quite a bit. Is it worth it? Man, I don't know. The acceleration is amazing. The handling is amazing. The quality of the car overall is astounding. I've got a fever, and the only cure is a Marabou Blue 458 Spider.